The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
Hey, you dorks, this is Gunnar Hansen, Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you are listening to The Dorkening.
Hi, I'm Brian Johnson, and although you probably accidentally stumbled across it and have no idea why you're watching it, you are in fact watching The Dorkening.
Hello, this is Tom Kenny, voice actor, the voice of the Ice King on Adventure Time, and SpongeBob SquarePants. Meow. Oh, Gary the Snail, too. Hey, guess what you're filling your eye holes and ear holes with? The Dorkening! Oh, I love the Dorkening. Very popular in Ooh. And Bikini Bottom.
Hi, I'm Lou Ferrigno. You're watching The Dorkening. And you know what? You don't like me when I get angry, so don't get me angry. You better keep watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, this is Felissa Rose, and you're watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, it's Courtney Palm. We're shooting Death House, and you're watching The Dorkening.
This is Anthony Michael Hall, and you're watching The Dorkening. Stay tuned. My friend's going to show you what entertainment's all about, baby.
The Dorkening.
The Dorkening.
Yeah, The Dorkening. That guy had to hold up a fake head forever. It was crazy. If you guys watch that shit, the back cut scenes. All right, everybody, welcome to the Ganja Gospel. I'm Pastor RootZ, and this is Sister Lolana.
Hello, everybody. Otherwise known as the Heavyweight.
Yeah, and today is the day that Lord Enki made, and we are going to blaze the ganja. So I hope everybody has their ganja rolled up and hold on to your seats, because this shit's about to get deep. Mm-hmm. We're getting into the flood, the biblical flood, and y'all know in your Bible, there's an Old Testament, and then a flood happens. And then supposedly our days start. But what's more remarkable is what happened before that damn flood. Because there's all this history that, you know, is totally hidden from us and lost. Even in the Bible, it doesn't really describe all the cool, crazy things that went on during the Old Testament. Now you might say, why does that matter? Painting with squirrels, whatever.
Cheers, squirrels.
You might say, why does that matter? Well, you got to figure out the past to understand the present or the future. You know what I'm saying? Because what if God did create just people, and there's some dudes up in the clouds and shit, and we're all down here stuck by ourselves, and we're putting these type of people in charge. We're thinking they're above us in some kind of way. But what if it was never like that? What if we were all equal, and the whole God thing is the real truth, and we were all created as equal? Then why are we subjected to people of power and shit? You know, that's my kind of thing about it. It really stems, where it's pointing to, is they bred certain people for certain jobs, and then they bred again a certain faction that was put in charge of us. So they actually had more DNA, like a better DNA strain than the normal person had. So we're going to get to this and see what happened to this creation, and we're going to hear about, you know, the fallen angels, and the devil is coming. The devil, the Satan is coming, everybody. And it's not a serpent. It has nothing to do with being a serpent. Remember, when they reportedly landed here, they never knew what a snake was. They never knew what a serpent was. They had
never seen it before, ever.
Never before seen it. Never before
So
seen
that
it.
is something native to Earth. The
native
serpent.
to Earth and native to our tongue. Where when the cursing and stuff, oh, you're the snake and the snake tongue and the blah 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 blah. That's all for our earth. That's all earth. It's not anything to do. They say anything to do with them. The snake a lot goes with the kundalini and the intertwining of the DNA. There's a lot of cryptid deep stuff there too. But we're gonna hear about what happened in the beginning times here and before the flood. This is, I believe, this chapter here, this tablet is before the flood. We still have lots to go with spaceports and starships and Mars and the moon and all kinds of cool stuff before this flood ever happens. I know it sounds fucking crazy, but lo and behold, there's writing on our planet that is ancient that says these exact things happened in their spaceships flying around all over the place. So that's pretty fucking cool to me, man.
Very cool.
Where are we at
Very
here?
cool. First, before we begin, I just want to say to all those in here, thank you for joining us. Appreciate you. Light up that bowl, bong, or joint as we fill the pews and get started. The commercials in the beginning for still Toking with the Dorkening and Hellfire Radio and Deadly Grounds Coffee. All of those beautiful links to support all of that beautiful networkability is down below in the descriptions, including ours for TwizTD RootZ. So if you're watching on any other page out there, if you'd like to discuss, we are mainly in the TwizTD RootZ YouTube channel discussing what is going on. So you're more than welcome to chat here or anywhere for that matter. So let's get started on what happened last time.
This is the day that Lord Enki made. This is the day for Ganja. All right, everybody, spark it up. You know what time it is. It's time for the 420 Ganja train. Woo, 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 woo.
All right, so synopsis of the 8th tablet. This is what we read about last time. Adapa's wide understanding amazes Nibiru's savants. On Anu's orders, Adapa is brought to Nibiru. Now remember, Adapa is basically the second Adam, okay? An Earthling's first ever space journey. It's the first time an Earthling has ever been in space. Enki reveals Adapa's parenting truth to Anu. Does anybody remember what the parenting truth was?
Yep, he's his kid.
Yep.
He banged some chicks at the pond, and he made Adam and Eve.
Yes, he did. He kept it a secret. Enki justifies his deed by the need for more food. Adapa is sent back to start farming and shepherding. Enlil and Enki create crop seeds and sheep lines. So all the grains and the sheep and the herds that you see on this earth were created somewhere else.
By Lord Enki and Enlil, and they created a slave because they needed more food. And they created the food and the sheep for the slaves to take care of. That's some shit, man.
Ninurta.
Now we're wearing Gucci and Prada.
Ninurta teaches Cain or Cain crop cultivation. Marduk teaches Abel or Abel shepherding and wool making. Fighting over water, Cain strikes and kills Abel. Cain is tried for murder, sentenced to exile. Adapa and Titi have other offspring who intermarry. Adapa and Titi are the second Adam and Eve, by the way. On his deathbed, Adapa blesses his son Sati as his heir. As a descendant, Enkime is taken by Marduk to Lamu.
Yes. So Sati is another one you can follow in the kingship line, right? This is Samaria we're talking about here. The first civilized city. It was Adam and Eve and all their freaking kids. All their freaking kids. You know, were they white? Were they black? They don't say. They don't say what color they are. But later, we're going to hear some stuff.
All right.
Who's who?
So synopsis of the 9th tablet. What are we gonna learn about today? Mankind.
Where did Caucasian come from?
Mankind proliferates. Adapa's line serves as royalty.
Oh.
Defying Enlil, Marduk espouses an Earthling female.
Now you heard that, right? Now you hear that, right? So Enlil, real quick, I'm just going to interject. Enlil is the master of the command, the crowned prince to take over kingship on Nibiru. Okay. Marduk is Enki's son. So the Lord of Earth, his son, who was promised by Lord Enki to one day rule the earth, it's not looking this way because Lord Enlil keeps having kids on earth that are going to, go above him and beyond. And then he's promised the moon for some reason. And then to defy them all, he marries the creation. Okay. Now this just, you heard what I said. He marries the creation. Mary, right? Just watch. You're going to hear it all unfold.
Defying Enlil, Marduk espouses an earthling female. Celestial disturbances and climate changes affect Lamu. The Igigi descend to earth, seize earthling females as wives. The promiscuous Enki begets a human son, Zisudra. Droughts and pestilences cause suffering on earth.
Yes. Now here, are you done with that one? Oh, I just real quick. Now I want you to remember when it said God gave his only begotten son to die on the cross. Which time? Which one? Because there's no ever not just one begotten son. These dudes were perverts. They literally, if they found a hole, they shoved some shit in it. They caused the phallus to drip and they banged some shit. They had lots of kids. You hear tons of people being born.
Enlil sees it as a fated retribution and wants to return home. Ninmah, aged by Earth's cycles, also wants to return. A mystery emissary warns them not to defy their destiny. Signs increase of a coming calamitous deluge. Most Anunnaki begin to depart back to Nibiru. Enlil enforces a plan to let mankind perish. Enki and Ninmah start to preserve Earth's seeds of life. The remaining Anunnaki prepare for the day of the deluge, or the deluge.
The flood.
Nergal, Lord of the lower world, is to issue the warning.
So Nergal, not Satan, not the devil, just the Lord of
the lower world.
The lower world. So what would that mean? Well, they're mining gold. They're down there digging in the earth. They're underground, you guys. They have a fuck ton of primitive workers down there. There is a shit ton of people down there. They have to have someone in charge of it. So there is the Lord down there. There's the sheriff. You know what I'm saying? I'm the boss down here, right? Then we got the boss on top of earth. And then we got the boss in the stars, making sure all the ships come and go, make sure they're doing their job, make sure everything's running good. That's the master of the command, right? And then we got the king of a whole nother planet. It's like you got to follow these little steps. So when you talk about Satan or the devil and stuff like that, and then you got this guy named Nergal. Well, before there was ever Satan and the devil, there's this guy named Nergal chilling in the earth where you all think hell is. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying maybe it's not there. Who knows? Maybe it goes into a different realm through a portal and you burn, but who knows? But what I'm saying is a lot of people think it's inside the planet and you go like underground and you burn in this hell, or you go into this fantasy land in the stars in our clouds. Like that to me just sounds like fantasy, to join the stars and become the one light is more like how I feel. I know this to be true. See, so it's just interesting that all of our society, all of our religion was always based on what they said was these truths. And as you're reading it here and listening to Sister Lalana speak here and read, it seems more like military to me. Everyone's got their duty station. Everyone's got their place to be. There were people that were more in charge, that were higher ranking than the other ones that were put in charge of those ones. You don't really hear too much about the heroes. You know, you just hear there's 50 heroes, 200 heroes, 900 heroes. You don't hear their names really. You only hear the masters of the commands, the people in charge. They're direct children, right? Or you got Nergal, who's downstairs, but then you have the other people like the 7 birth mothers and people like that you get their names. And not until this chapter here do you start hearing some of the names of the Anunnaki that actually took up station on Mars, right? That's Lahamu, right? So on Mars, the climate was changing. Storms were happening, right? A big fucking meteor hit Mars in those days and caused a planetary storm to go around the planet, as if a flood were to go across our planet all the way around. They have a storm that goes all the way around because, of course, they don't have no water. They only got sand. So this is happening in those days. And remember from the previous chapters, we heard all these dudes coming from Mars. They're like, yo, why can't we have a station here on Earth for when we're waiting? Why do we got to sit at this dock and we only get to smell the air? We get to see birds flying, but we don't get to go and swim in the lake. We don't get to go eat nothing here. This is bullshit, man. We want to have something here. So this happens. This is what's about to take place. And you guys know it famously in your holy books as when the angels, the watchers, defied God, and God sent them to earth, made them fall from heaven as the 200 watchers or fallen angels. And really there was 22 that were leaders of this and in charge. 2 of them got charged for it indefinitely for being the conspirators. 1 got the wrath and he got flipped upside down. So that's why when they say the devil is Semyaza, but really Azazel was the one that got the worst of the punishment. You know what I'm saying? So Azazel, throughout history, like, see how she's make-upped up and got jewelry on and stuff? Azazel taught humans that. Like, we didn't know these things. We only knew in the beginning. People only knew what Lord Enki and Nimma and those people taught them. They were teaching about science and astrology. They weren't teaching us how to make weapons and kill each other and fornicate and make jewelry and body art and tattoo and piercings and all that shit. They weren't teaching us none of that. That's why you see pictures of Samaria. People were naked. They wore a loincloth, and they were farmers and cattle herders, hunters, gatherers. They didn't hunt, though. They herded, you know. So let's see what happens in this 9th tablet here. It's fascinating shit.
The 9th tablet. In the days of Lumak did Marduk and the Igigi with earthlings intermarry. In those days on earth, the hardships were increasing. In those days on Lamu, with dryness and dust was the planet enveloped. The Anunnaki, who decree the fates, Enlil and Enki and Ninmah, with each other consulted. What conditions on earth and on Lamu were altering, they wondered. On the sun, flarings they observed, and the net forces of earth and Lamu, there were disruptions. In the Abzu, at the tip of the white land facing, instruments for observing they installed. In the charge of Nergal, the son of Enki, and his spouse Ereshkigal, the instruments were put. To the land beyond the seas, Ninurta was assigned. In the mountain land, a bond heaven earth to establish. On Lamu, the Igigi were restless. To pacify them, Marduk was the task given. Until what are the hardships causing? The way station on Lamu must be kept.
What up, Jeffrey?
So to Marduk the leader said. The 3 who the fates decree with each other consulted. They looked at each other. How old the others are. Each one of the others thought. Enki, who the death of Adapa was grieving, was the first one to speak.
So real quick, you hear this, right? So while she smokes on the good old ganja, hello everybody, Jeffrey Allen, what's up? So here we're hearing this, right? People always ask you, or they speculate now, who's in charge of this planet? Who's really in charge? Is it the president of the United States? Is it this person? Is it that person? You know, where'd the Anunnaki go? They didn't have to go anywhere. You heard it. They wrote it down and said, in those days, right here, what they're talking about, the days before the deluge, right before the deluge, they were intermarrying and interbreeding with the humans. The Anunnaki were. So when you say, like people speculate today that we're the Anunnaki, that we are the Anunnaki, that's fucking 100% true by what they're saying. These are breeding programs. If any of you have ever done any kind of breeding programs, anything animal-wise, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You breed something long enough and you get genetic stabilities of one direction. You know what I'm saying? Or you could always keep continuously having that crossbreed. But you could start with the pure bloods and get the mud bloods down the way, you know, if you don't breed correctly. And that's kind of like what this planet was, a huge breeding program. And you're going to hear the specifics of this breeding program and how the manipulation of the United States was set up. You're going to hear this shit roll out of her tongue, out of her mouth in just a few minutes. And it's crazy. It's crazy, man. Yeah. We are the gods. That's what it is. That's my whole thing. I always say, who's God? Where did God go? We are the gods. They interbred with us. Now you can track the wars throughout history. The wars were set on populations, like countries. These countries, we're going to point this out, that these countries is where each Anunnaki took their me formulas and go, boom, I'm going to start a settlement here. I'm going to make people. And throughout time, what they did was they decided not to fight each other. There was never again, after this one war, never again would there ever be Anunnaki on Anunnaki wars. They used the humans like little army guys or little G.I. Joe guys, right? Like we do playing games. They used the humans as their weapon. So they did build a huge ass army and they'd build a huge ass army and you go to war. It'd be like me and Jeffrey Allen. We got a dispute against each other. And I'm like, all right, raise your army. I'm going to raise my army. And whoever wins, that causes our dispute to be finished. If I lose, I follow whatever you say. If I win, you follow what I say. And normally, these entire civilizations of that specific Anunnaki me formula, you know, were completely annihilated, wiped off the planet, you know, and that Anunnaki person may have had to step down as being ruler of that specific spot. No coffee?
No, it's water.
Oh, specific spot. Or even go back to Nibiru, because what you heard, they're looking at each other going, God damn, you guys are getting old. And it's not that they're aging. It's called radiation from our sun is what's aging them, dude. Just like when you go get cancer, you get your radiation, get your poison and shit. I say, don't do that, man. Take your cannabis. You know, let's see what we got here, Amber.
Okay. More than 100 shars since my arrival have passed. To his brother and sister, he said. Now remember, this is the three who rule, basically, the rulers. This is Enlil, Enki, and Ninmah talking.
Brothers and sisters.
I was then a dashing leader. Now bearded, tired, and old I am. An enthusiastic hero I was. For command and adventure ready, Enlil then said. Now I have children who have children, all on earth born. Old on earth we became, but those on earth born are even older sooner. So did Enlil to his brother and sister ruefully say. As for me, an old sheep they call me. So did Ninmah wistfully say. While the others have been coming and going, turns on earth to serve taking. We the leaders have stayed and stayed, Perchance it is time to leave, so did Enlil say. Of that did I often wonder, to them Enki was saying, each time one of us 3 to visit Nibiru wished. Word from Nibiru always our coming thereto prevented. Of that I too did wonder, Enlil was saying. Is it a thing on Nibiru, a thing on earth? Perchance the life cycles that differ it concerns, so was Ninmah saying. To watch and see what transpires, the 3 leaders decided. At that time fate, or was it destiny? And in its hands the matters took. For it came to pass that soon thereafter Marduk to his father Enki came. A matter of gravity with his father Enki to discuss he wished. Upon the earth the 3 sons of Enlil's spouses have chosen. Ninurta Ba'u of Anu a young daughter has espoused. Nanar has chosen Ningal. Ishkur Shala has taken. By Nergal, your son Erishkigal of Enlil, a granddaughter, as a spouse was taken. By threats to kill her, her consent from her was extracted. To await my espousal, being your firstborn, Nergal did not await. The other four in deference my espousal are waiting. A bride I wish to choose, to have a spouse, it is my desire. So did Marduk to his father Enki say. Your words happy make me, Enki to Marduk was saying. Your mother too shall rejoice. To hold his words to Ninki, Marduk with a raised hand to his father mentioned. Is she one of the young ones who heal and succor give? Enki went on to ask. A descendant of Adapa she is, of earth, not Nibiru she is. Marduk softly whispered. With a puzzled look, Enki was speechless. Then uncontrolled words he shouted. A prince of Nibiru, a firstborn to succession entitled an earthling, will espouse? Not an earthling, but your own offspring, to him Marduk said. A daughter of Enkime, who to heaven was taken she is. Sarpanit is her name. Enki, his spouse Ninki, summoned. To her what with Marduk transpired, he related. To Ninki, his mother, Marduk, his heart's desire, repeated and said. With Enkime, when Enkime with me was journeying, and of heaven and earth him I was teaching. What my father once had said, I with my own eyes witnessed. Step by step on this planet, a primitive being, one like us to be, we have created. In our image and in our likeness, civilized earthling is, except for the long life, he is we. A daughter of Enkime, my fancy caught, her to espouse I wish. Ninki, her son's words pondered, and the maiden. Does she your gaze appreciate? So did she, Marduk ask. Indeed she does, Marduk to his mother said.
So he's been already fucking with this chick.
This is not the matter to consider, Enki with a raised voice said. If our son this shall do, to Nibiru with his spouse he would never go. His princely rights on Nibiru he forever will forsake. To this Marduk with a bitter laughter responded, my rights on Nibiru are non-existent. Even on earth my rights as firstborn have been trampled. This indeed is my decision. From prince, a king on earth become, the master of this planet. Let it so be, Ninki said. Let it so be, Enki also said. They summoned Matushal, the bride's mother.
Methuselah.
Of Marduk's wish they told him. Humbled, but with joy, overwhelmed Matushal was. Let it so be, he said. When of the decision Enlil was told, with fury he was seized. It was one thing for the father with earthlings intercourse have. It is another matter for the son and earthling to espouse, lordship on her to bestow.
Now you heard that, right? So Enki, he's got the holy seed. He's like, I created these things. Marduk didn't have no hand in it. Now Ishgal or Nergal, whatever, the younger son, right? Not the youngest son, but the younger son, or I'm sorry, the second oldest son, had a part in making humans, right? Not Marduk. So Enlil or Enki is like, hey, I'm your dad. I can go bang these humans, but like you can't. You shouldn't do that. I'm allowed to because I'm the scientist, dude. I'm investigating and researching. Like that's what I'm doing for this. I'm making tools. Like you can't go do this for pleasure and love. I'm doing this for fucking science in our world. You know, their
Our
mission,
future,
their
our
mission, yeah,
ongoing.
So he's trying to tell this to his son, and his son's like, but they are us, except for they just don't live long. Like we literally were them, and if they were different than us in those times, they are exactly to this day. If you were to look at them, if they were on this planet and lived here on this planet, you would not be able to tell them apart from us. I promise you that. This is what it's saying. They were exactly like us. The longer they stayed on our planet, the older they got. So your white man, white skin, blue eyes, the white beard in the white robe, that's the truth. That's how the radiation turned them into that. It bleached their skin. It made their eyes blue if they weren't. Their beards got white. Everything we go through, even black people, when they go blind, their eyes turn blue. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying they go gray, but there's melanated people that have blue eyes. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that everyone had to be dark skinned and black eyes and black hair. There could have been blue-eyed brown people with blonde hair. And that genetic code would spit out a Caucasian here or there. Those Caucasians would probably stick together and keep breeding. So would the melanated people, you know. So we got this situation going on where they're like, hey man, you can't be doing this, and especially you can't marry a damn human. So we got a situation here, you know. Marduk's like, yo, I'm never going to be prince anywhere else, dude. I want to rule this planet here. Once you guys all leave, I'm going to stay here with these humans, right? So this is where genetic diversity changes right here, and he actually gets banished to a place of 2 towers, right? Prophesies that these 2 towers would be destroyed, and that Jesus and Christianity would rule these areas. So let's find out where the hell these places are.
When Ninmah of the matter was told, greatly disappointed she was. Marduk, any maiden of ours could espouse, even from my own daughters by Enki he could choose. Half sisters, as is the royal custom, he could espouse. So did Ninmah say.
You want any of them hoes?
With fury, Enlil to Anu on Nibiru of the matter, words beamed up.
Did you want him?
Yeah, no, I'm good right now. Too far. With fury, Enlil to Anu on Nibiru of the matter, words beamed up. Too far has this behavior gone. It cannot be allowed. To Anu, the king Enlil said. On Nibiru, Anu the counselor summoned the matter with urgency to discuss. In the rule books of such a matter, no rule they found. Anu, the savants, also summoned the matter's consequences to discuss. On Nibiru, Adapa, the maiden's progenitor, could not stay. To Anu they were saying, therefore, to return to Nibiru with her, Marduk forever must be barred.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed, having to earth cycles become accustomed, even without her, Marduk's return impossible might be.
You see that? So Marduk has been on, all these people have been on Earth for so long that they got so used to Earth cycles of radiation that they think even if they were to go back to Nibiru, they wouldn't reset themselves. They wouldn't replenish themselves. And now he's banned. If he marries this Earth chick, he can never, ever go back to Nibiru, ever. And he's like, I don't give a fuck.
So were the savants to Anu saying. With that, the counselors too agreed. Let the decision to Earth be beamed, Anu was saying. Marduk marry can. But on Nibiru, a prince he shall no more be. The decision by Enki and Marduk was accepted. Enlil, too, to the word from Nibiru bowed. Let there be a wedding celebration. In Eridu let it be, Ninki to them said. In the Eden, Marduk and his bride cannot stay, Enlil the commander announced. Let us to Marduk and his bride a wedding gift make. a domain of their own, away from the Eden, in another land. So did Enki to Enlil say. Of Marduk being sent away, Enlil, with consent to himself, was thinking, to what land, of what domain are you speaking? Enlil to his brother Enki said, a domain above the Abzu, in the land that the upper sea reaches, one that by waters from the Eden is separated, that by ships can be reached. So did Enki to Enlil say, let it so be. Enlil said, in Eridu, a wedding celebration, Ninki for Marduk and Sarpanit arranged. Her people, by the sound of a copper drum, the ceremony announced. With 7 tambourines, her sisters, the bride, to her spouse presented. A great multitude of civilized earthlings in Eridu assembled. Like a coronation to them the wedding was. Young Anunnaki also attended. Igigi from Lamu in great numbers came to celebrate our leader's wedding. Of Nibiru and Earth a union, to witness we came. So did the Igigi their arrival in large numbers explain. Do you want to talk or do you want me to keep going?
I want you to smoke that joint and fix my shirt. So this is the first time that the Mars people, Lamu is the Mars. And the Mars people, they're on the way station up there. They get to come down for Marduk's wedding. Now we hear about this, okay? He says he wants to be in a place above the Abzu that separates from the sea that separates it, right? And they're not allowed to go and eat it. Man, we can think about, he could be in Russia. He could be in Italy and Greece. He could be in North America because, you know, no one has rolled out the Abzu of being Antarctica yet. Antarctica was in temperate zones at the time. North America was not. North and South America, well, maybe South America might have been in temperate zones, but North America was under an ice age at that time. You know, the top and the bottom of the planets were frozen. But what was the top and what was the bottom? You know, say if our Earth sits on this axis, well, what if it was straight up and down at the time? You got to take our planet and spin it and see what degree axis it was on to where that ice would have been, and what land would have been showing. And if the water was really, you know, it wasn't that the water was lower, is water was all frozen or underground. It was a lot of shit was underground, right? So there wasn't like vast deep oceans that we have. They had like a sea, they said, not like this fucking huge deep shit that they have. The water was low. So when we look at Africa, India, all these places, those places would have all been connected. Like they would literally, they're connected now, but I mean, they would be really connected. There would be marshlands connected, all of them, or low plains. And then they said the place of the mountains. Like they're talking about all these different places where they're going to start setting up new spots outside of where they've been for this 100 freaking shars, you know, 400,000 years. Now, they noticed climate changes and stuff. And if you guys notice, they put up, what up, Scott? They put up listening posts. So these are forward observation areas, right? Or posts. So they're going to the top of the planet where it was ice. They built a structure so they can look out into space and see what the fuck was happening and look at the planet. They went to the bottom of the planet, built the structure. They went over here, built the structure, went over here. They went in the ocean. They went under the ground where they were mining. They put up seismic activities. They were like, what the fuck is happening? Everything's changing. Now, you might think for them, it's probably changing quick because for them, 1 year to the next ain't shit. But for the planet Earth, that's 3,600 years is one of their fucking years. That's a long time for Earth. Maybe not cosmically, but for change to watch changing, they're probably watching shit like, holy fuck, what the hell's happening? You know, let's see what's happening here, baby.
So I actually have a theory, and I don't know that if it makes any sense or not, but
you smoke on this while you're telling your theory.
When he says, to what land of what domain are you speaking? Enlil to his brother Enki said, a domain above the Abzu in a land that the upper sea reaches, one that by waters from the Eden is separated, Now, that little spot might just totally throw my theory out of the water, so to speak, that by ships can be reached. What if it is something that is in the sky? It is separated above the clouds, above those waters, and the upper sea. That's the upper sea. And like I said, that one little bit, one that by waters from the Eden is separated, might just throw that theory out of the whatever. But I just thought by ships, their ships at that time are not sea ships, they're fucking spaceships. So I'm thinking, what if it's a fucking, they wanted to build him a sky fucking city. That's just me though. That's just my thought.
Yeah, remember right now he's the master of Mars. So he basically owns Mars. Okay. He was given the moon and he's like, nah, fuck the moon. This place sucks. So I don't want to fucking be on the moon. And they're like, all right, we got to be on Mars. So he really wants the Earth. So it's possible, separating the sea from the sea. And I always talk about the water from the waters. Like space is like an ocean. It's like water out there, because how you move through water and how you can't breathe underwater, it would be like that, I believe, in space. You would be flowing. There's no pressure. That's the whole point of it. There's no pressure. There's no frequency. Like there's frequency, but there's no frequency giving you a magnetism, like a ball of magnet. You're in the ball of magnets. So you're floating through that bubble. When you take two magnets, push them together, you're floating through that bubble out here. And of course, there's no oxygen. There's nothing that you can breathe. You know, just because we can't breathe in space doesn't mean that something else can't breathe in space, because we breathe a certain chemical mixture, right? And that chemical mixture can variate and we can survive on pretty freaking extreme shit. We watched a show where these dudes survived in the bottom of a damn volcano breathing that shit. That's pretty freaking remarkable. Not forever, but damn, they were there for 4 days.
They were there for a lot longer than you would anticipate surviving something like that for.
So it's possible that the seas from the seas, possibly, maybe he's got this station. Now, we also hear in history, we also hear in history throughout all the different civilizations, they always talked about a star that never set. I'm not talking about the North Star, because that shit goes away during the day. They talked about a star that never set. That's a spaceship in the sky, bro. If you can see that shit during the day and you see it at night and it's glowing, that's a spaceship that was sitting there. That was a mothership. So whether it be Enlos or Enkis, you know, who knows? So it is a good theory. It's possible. An interesting theory. Now we're going to hear, though, where possibly he went, who he found when he went there, you know, because it sounds to me like, if I had to just guess, being the sheeple of the map that they show us of the Earth, and being that I'm a sheeple and think that the Earth's always been tilted this certain way and never moved or flipped upside down, because that's what I think. I think when they landed here, what we see now, flip that shit upside down, and that's what the hell they looked at. It was completely upside down, because the way they describe shit, east from west, sometimes puts them in the wrong area. I'm like, the Earth had to be shifted differently when I did my research.
It's been a long time since they've been here and they got here. There's no reason why the Earth can't shift, especially with the calamities that have happened.
They said that mountains formed by their will. Like mountain formed up. They bash mountains together by frequency weapons and shit. But here's the thing. So if I was just the sheeple looking at it, I would say Eden's this whole huge area right in Saudi Arabia area, Iraq, Iran, you know, that's this whole area. It's a huge 10,000 square foot mile area. Square mile, not square foot mile. That doesn't make no sense. So here's the thing. So if it was above the Eden, so separated by the sea, where the North Sea is reachable, and it's all reachable by ship, right? I would think, being a sheeple, that would be Italy. That they were going to France. France is down here. They're going to Italy. No, it isn't. It's up there, isn't it? No, they're going, Italy and all those places up there. You know, they're becoming those people up there, like Troy, like that. That's what I would think. But see, I don't think the Abzu necessarily is Africa. You know what I'm saying? Because how they depict it, they say that the Abzu was separated from the Eden by an ocean, by water. They couldn't just walk there. And where the Eden is, you can walk to India, Asia, Africa. You could walk to Russia. You can walk to all those countries from the Eden on our map today. And with the water way less, shit, it was
all one land.
Even easier to walk there then. So there's only a couple places. There's Antarctica. There's North and South America. There's a couple islands up there, but those probably would have been connected, actually. Ireland and England and all that fucking shit up there. Iceland, that probably was all one big landmass, but underwater or under ice, you see? Or maybe not. Maybe it was twisted. Maybe our conceptions of where the Eden is only based on our sheeple perception of this map they're showing us. And we're not really thinking about ancient times and what it looked like. Like in the 1500s, they showed Antarctica ice-free. That's not too long ago, bro.
It's not too long ago.
You know what I'm saying? So, and there was giants there and dragons. So what if, well, maybe the Abzu was Australia. Maybe the Abzu was Antarctica. Really, they call it the land of the mountains. There's 7 mountains there. There is a mountain there that was pure silver, like they called it pure silver, but I think it was either tin or aluminum. Whatever one that you don't need another metal to make, I think it's aluminum. One of the two. But this mountain was pure that, and supposedly that's where they locked the fallen angels and the 7 demon angels when the archangels buried them. It supposedly is in there. It supposedly is in Antarctica. And if that would be true, that's the Abzu then. That's the underworld. That's where the fucking Nergal is and the Kegel bitch that's coming up. Because, you know, the leader of hell isn't Satan. It's not the devil. It's a chick called Ishgur Kegel or something. She does Kegels all day, bro. She got big ass titties sitting on a throne with fucking whips and chains, you know, all that. What is that called? That dominatrix shit comes from her, baby. We're going to see this shit. Watch. Here we go.
Now, this is the account of how the Igigi, the daughters of the earthlings, abducted.
Yeah, fallen angels, baby. Here we go. Giants begetteth.
And how afflictions followed, and Zasudra, oddly, was born. In a great number did the Igigi from Lamu to earth come. Only 1/3 of them on Lamu stayed. To earth came 200.
So there was 400 on Mars, I think, 600 or 400, and 200 came to earth.
It says 1/3 of them on Lamu stayed. To earth came 200. So 200 is 3/4 of the full number of them.
Yeah, I think there was 900 total or something like that.
To be with their leader Marduk, his wedding celebration to attend was their explanation. Unbeknownst to Enki and Enlil was their secret. To abduct and have conjugation was their plot.
Yep.
Unbeknownst to the leaders on earth, a multitude of the Igigi on Lamu got together. What to Marduk permitted is from us too should not be deprived. To each other they said. Enough of suffering and loneliness, of not offspring ever having, was their slogan. During their comings and goings between Lamu and earth, the daughters of the earthlings, the Adapite females, as them they called.
So that's the daughters of Adam and Eve, okay? Not the primitive workers. This is the second slave generation of workers, okay? Then they came down. They're like, Marduk went up to Mars like, yo, I got me a wife. They said it was cool. They're like, what? Oh, you about to go get us human wives too, man. Remember, they've been on Mars this whole time with no Bude, no Punani at all. No women on Mars, bro. Go ahead, baby.
During their comings and goings between Lamu and earth, the daughters of the earthlings, the Adapite females, as them they called, they saw, and after them they lusted, and to each other the plotters said, Come, let us choose wives from among the Adapite females, and children beget. One among them, Shamgaz, his name was, their leader became. Even if none of you agrees, I alone the deed shall do. To the others he said, if a penalty for this sin shall be imposed, I alone for all of you shall it bear. One by one, others in the plot joined together. By an oath together to do it, they swore. By the time of Marduk's wedding, 200 of them on the landing place descended. Upon the great platform in the Cedar Mountains they came down. From there to Eridu they journeyed. Among the toiling earthlings they passed. Together with the earthling throng in Eridu they arrived. After the wedding ceremony of Marduk and Serpanit had taken place, by a signal prearranged, Shamgaz to the others assigned gave. An earthling maiden, each one of the Igigi seized.
Whether they had a husband or not.
By force they them abducted. To the landing place in the Cedar Mountains the Igigi with the females went. Into a stronghold the place they made. To the leaders a challenge they issued. Enough of deprivation and not having offspring. The Adapite daughters to marry we wish. Your blessing to this you must give, else by fire all on earth destroy we will.
Whoa.
Alarmed the leaders were of Marduk, the Igigi commander, charged to take they demanded.
It's just like this fucking show we're watching, babe.
Yeah. If in the matter I a solution must seek, with the Igigi my heart in agreement is. So did Marduk to the others say, what I have done from them cannot be deprived. Enki and Ninmah their heads shook, with begrudging agreement they voiced. Only Enlil was enraged without pacification. One evil deed by another has been followed. Fornication from Enki and Marduk the Igigi have adopted. Our pride and sacred mission to the winds have been abandoned. By our own hands this planet with earthling multitudes shall be overrun. With much disgust was Enlil speaking. Let the Igigi and their females from earth depart. On Lamu conditions unbearable have become. Surviving is not possible. So did Marduk to Enlil and Enki say. In the Eden they cannot remain, Enlil with anger shouted. With much disgust the gathering he left. In his heart things against Marduk and his earthlings was Enlil plotting. Upon the landing platform in the Cedar Mountains were the Igigi and their females secluded. Children there to them were born. Children of the rocket ships they were called. Marduk and Serpanit, his spouse, also had children. Asar and Satu were their first two sons called. To the domain above the Abzu, to him and Serpanit granted. Marduk the Igigi invited. To dwell in two cities that for his sons he had built. Marduk the Igigi summoned. Some of the Igigi and their offspring to the domain in the dark-hued land came. On the landing platform in the Cedar Mountains, Shamgaz and others did remain. To the far eastlands, lands of high mountains, some of their offspring went. How Marduk of earthlings his strength increases, Ninurta carefully observed. What are Enki and Marduk scheming? To his father Enlil, Ninurta said. The earth by the earthlings inherited will be, Enlil to Ninurta said. Go, the offspring of Cain find. With them a domain of your own prepare.
Who?
Cain.
No, who was supposed to go there?
Go, the offspring of Cain find.
No, who?
Oh, Enlil to Ninurta said. So Ninurta.
Remember the dude who got to make people. He has made the people.
To the other side of earth Ninurta went. The offspring of Cain he found. How tools to make and music to play he them taught. How in mining to engage and smelt and refine he showed them. How to build rafts of balsam trees he showed them. To cross a great sea he them guided. In a new land a domain they established. A city with twin towers they built.
Holy fucking shit.
A domain beyond the seas it was. The mountain land of the new bond heaven earth it was not. In the Eden, Lumak was the workmaster. Quotas to enforce was his duty. The earthlings' rations to reduce was his task. His spouse was Batanash, The daughter of Lumak's father's brother she was. Of a beauty outstanding she was. By her beauty was Enki charmed. Enki to his son Marduk a word did send. To your domain Lumak do summon.
This shit's getting fucking twisted, man. We just gotta stop for a second, okay? Because, like, literally, she passed through it so fast, like it was butter passing through shit or something. I don't know what was happening, but I think y'all just missed it. They literally, Enki's like, yo, Ninurta, the dude who helped him, that's his son, he helped them create the people. He's like, yo, we got this other secret over here still. We got fucking Cain's walking the fucking planet to the east with no beard. He's got a wife. He's making people everywhere. So they're like, hey, Ninurta, go find the fucking people of Cain. Because remember, Cain died. He got hit by a rock or some shit. But he still had all these people that he created. So they're like, go find the people of Cain. And we're going to teach him everything, right? So he teaches them all kind of shit. This is so fucking interesting right here, man. Because there's supposedly this huge island of Mu that was in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, right? So if he is supposed to go walk to the east, right, he could have ended up on this Mu, right? Creating Polynesian no-bearded people. Polynesians never had beards, people. This is like the whole secret I've been waiting for somebody to catch on to. It's Asians, Polynesians. Guess what? Everyone says that thinks it was this fucking ice bridge that those people migrated over. No, it says Nergal went and found those people. Maybe they did a little bit of migration because they were hunter-gatherers, right? Those are the hunter-gatherer people. Cain's people. Oh, Ninurta. So Ninurta goes, finds these people, civilizes these people, teaches them how to build a big-ass boat and cross a fucking huge ocean to come to new lands, right? Where they build 2 towers. It's a land of 2 towers. Holy fucking shit. North America. This is the fucking craziest shit you ever heard in your life. I know. And we're going to go deeper on this right here because these people are important and they're we colonized these people and killed everybody. And it's an atrocity if we lose this actual bloodline on this planet because this shit's powerful. Check this out.
How by earthlings a city to build, there them teach. And when Lumak to the domain of Marduk was summoned, to the household of Ninmah in Shurubak, the haven city, his spouse Batanash he brought. From the angry earthling, masses protected and safe to be. Thereafter, Enki, his sister Ninmah, in Shurubak was quick to visit. On the roof of a dwelling, when Batanash was bathing, Enki by her loins took hold. He kissed her, his semen into her womb he poured. With a child Batanash was, her belly was truly swelling. To Lumak from Shurubak word was sent. To the Eden return, a son you have. To the Eden, to Shurubak, Lumak returned. To him Batanash the sun showed. White as the snow his skin was. The color of wool was his hair.
Ooh.
Like the skies were his eyes.
Ooh.
In a brilliance were his eyes shining.
Oh.
Amazed and frightened was Lumak. To his father Matushal he hurried. A son unlike an earthling to Batanash was born. By this birth greatly puzzled I am. Matushal to Batanash came. The newborn boy he saw. By his likeness amazed he was. Is one of the Igigi the boy's father? Of Batanash Matushal the truth demanded.
Why would he ask that? So this is Methuselah. This is your Bible story. Hold on 1 second. This is your Bible story. Let me just put you in the realm. This is your Bible story of Methuselah, and the chick goes out. Her husband's out shepherding sheep. He's been gone for 8 months. He comes back and he's like, I've not known my wife yet. Why does she have a kid? Remember, he never banged her at all, ever. He got married and went on this big thing for 8 months and came back. He was going to bang her, and she was like, oh, shit, you have a kid. Why would they ask, though, is the Igigi one of your fathers? Because, remember, they were called the children of the rocket ships. These children that were being born from the Igigi. Remember, they do not have the holy seed, the actual platinum patented me formula to make us, to make the right,
to continue
the formula,
civilized man.
Yeah, they made atrocities, and so most people are brown. Almost everybody was a brown, melanated color. Okay, whether they had blue eyes, blonde hair, some shit, they were all melanated. Until the Igigi came down, started banging people, made red-haired white giants. And then until this dude was born right here, pure white race. Pure white. He was pure white. Caucasian.
Is one of the Igigi the boy's father? Of Batanash Matushal, the truth demanded. To Lumak, your spouse, whether this boy his son is, the truth reveal. None of the Igigi is the boy's father. Of this upon my life I swear. So did Batanash him answer. To his son, Lumak Matushal then turned. A calming arm on his shoulder he put. A mystery the boy is, but in his oddness an omen to you is revealed. Unique he is, for a task unique by destiny he was chosen. What that task is, I know not. In time appropriate, known it shall become. So was Matushal to his son Lumak saying, to what on earth was transpiring, he was alluding. In those days, the suffering on earth were increasing. The days colder grew, the skies their rains were holding back. Fields their crops diminished, in the sheepfolds ewe lambs were few. Let the son to you born, unusual as he is, an omen be that a respite is coming.
Yes.
So did Matushal to his son Lumak say, let respite be his name. To Matushal and Lumak, Batanash, her son's secret, did not reveal. Zasudra, he of long bright life days, she called him.
Yes.
In Shurubak he was raised.
Yes.
Ninma on the child her protection and affection bestowed. Of much understanding he was endowed. With knowledge he was by her provided. Enki the child greatly adored. To read the writings of Adapa him he taught. The priestly rites how to observe and perform the boy as a young man learned. In the 110th Shar was Zasudra born. In Shurubak he grew up and espoused Emzara, and she bore him 3 sons. In his days the sufferings on earth intensified, plagues and starvations the earth afflicted.
Yep, plagues. Now you hear that. So in the time of Noah, this is the biblical Noah. So no, there's nothing in the story that talks about Ninma or Enki helping the motherfucker out. Ain't shit about it. They taught him how to build a boat, but there ain't shit about none of that. Whether he's an albino or not, this is the first actual non-melanated Caucasian person they have been reported to have been born. They were like, who the fuck? But now, mind you, not the only, but the only to them. There's sex, not sex, S-E-C-T, sex, right? So there's sections. We got permanent workers. They're black as hell. You had, they're real dark, right? That was your first creation. Then you had the people over here where they probably were all kinds of melanation colors, like a beautiful variations of brownishes, tannishes, and reddish golds. And man, it probably was so fucking beautiful. What if the Anunnaki were a gold color, a bronzish gold? That would be, because they have red, black, red, and brown.
I mean, they need that mononucleate, whatever the hell it's called, gold to continue their long life. So why wouldn't they be slightly shimmery or golden or
the golden
that hue?
They call them the shining ones.
They're huge.
They call them the shining ones.
They have a golden hue.
Yes.
Which makes sense that they
Look at our
describe that first woman that
at our
was born with sandy hair and skin as theirs. They don't say the color of skin, but that makes fucking sense that they were golden hued with sandy hair. Boom.
Golden. So, you know, crap,
I'm sorry.
I went off the deep end. No. But it's just, the section. So we had these real brown people. We had these probably mixed of Melanesian people. And then, you know, we had the Anunnaki, Agigi, or the fallen angels, if you will, come down from Mars, and they take wives, they beget wives, and they take them all over the place. You heard this shit, people. They stayed in Afghanistan. They went to this place. They went to the mountain place like Germany kind of shit, you know, away from Lebanon. They stayed in Lebanon where the landing place was, where they had the giant cedars and shit. You know, you could go to these places and look. You can see these platforms today and understand that in that area right there specifically is where these things walked, did what they're saying they did right there. You know what I'm saying? It's fucking wild to just know this truth. It's like, holy shit, these beings, like, that was right there. They really happened. And, you know, the Agigi were putting out white children. White. They call them moon children, I think. But here they're called the children of the rocket ships. Because that's what these were. They were belter loaders, dude. They were literally belter loaders coming to Earth, making children of the rocket ships, you know what I'm saying? And they were like, hey, if you don't let us do this, we are literally gonna drop fucking asteroids on you from fucking the belt, dude. Literally, they had, it's like they had all this power up there in space. They're like, we're in space, bro. Don't fuck with us. We'll fucking end your whole world right now. You're gonna let us come down, fornicate with these women, and we want children. That's what they wanted. That's the only thing they wanted. They wanted to reproduce. And that was their whole cry for help.
It seems like a very basic thing for them to be able to do. And
it's all right.
You know, gosh.
100 years.
For them to not be able to do that for as long as they were able. You know,
they went 100 of their years.
Damn.
And they say 54,000 years for a human to live is not a long time. They said that they don't have our long life. 54,000, man.
That's young. That's yeah.
You could ride every roller coaster ever created in 54,000 years. I mean, holy shit. Imagine what you could do. You could walk from one end of the world to the other end. You could swim there fucking that
multiple
long.
times.
Shit.
Now, this is the account of Earth's tribulations before the deluge and how the mysterious Galzu, decisions of life and death in secret guided.
Now, Galzu, here's the thing. Who is God? Who is God? God is a frequency. We know this. God rules all matter by a vibration that holds mass together, holds electrons together, right? But who's Galzu? Is Galzu created out of the frequency to make sure that humans kept going? Or was this just your secret little scientist dude that had a little conspiracy saying, hey, man, I got the money. I'm Elon Musk. I want this shit to happen. Yo, get it going, man. Because no one knows who the fuck this dude is. They don't know who the fuck he is. He just exists. Poof. They're like, I don't know.
By the conjugations of Igigi and the earthling daughters was Enlil greatly disturbed. By Marduk's espousal of an earthling female, Enlil was much distraught.
Enlil.
In his eyes, the Anunnaki mission to Earth had become perverted.
Perverted.
To him, the howling, shouting earthling masses on I can't say this word very well.
What is it?
Anathema became oppressive. The pronouncements of the earthlings have become. The conjugations of sleep deprive me. So did Enlil to the other leaders say.
So they're banging so many times. They're literally having so much sex, like animalistic, roaring fucking sex, that it is keeping Enlil awake in his spaceship, bro.
In the days of Zusudra, plagues and pestilences the earth afflicted. Aches, dizziness, chills, fevers, the earthlings overwhelmed.
People are getting sick.
Let us, the earthlings, curing teach. how themselves to remedy to learn.
Salves.
So did Ninmah say.
Salves.
This by decree I forbid, Enlil to her pleas retorted.
God forbid it.
In the lands whereto the earthlings have spread, waters from their sources did not rise. The earth shut its womb, vegetation did not sprout. Let us the earthlings pond and canal building teach. Let them from the seas fish and sustenance obtain. So did Enki to other leaders say.
So their freshwater springs that sprouted up across the lands dried up. They stopped sprouting up water, so no, they couldn't get any vegetables and shit.
This by decree
Drought.
This by decree I forbid, Enlil to Enki said. Let the earthlings by hunger and pestilence perish. For one shar, the earthlings ate the grasses of the fields. For the second shar, the third shar, the vengeance of Enlil they suffered.
Hold on 1 second. Let me get this. Three shars. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. Because this is crazy. This is crazy. This is what we used to do. This is what we're all trying to get back to, because this is when we were the healthiest. So for 10,800 years, people ate grass and berries and leaves. No animals, because there wasn't none.
In Shurubak, Zusudra's city, the suffering unbearable was becoming. To Iridu, Susudra of the earthlings, a spokesman journeyed. To the house of the Lord Enki he made his way. By the name of his Lord he called. For help and salvation to him he pleaded. Enki, by Enlil's decrees, was bound. In those days, the Anunnaki, for their own surviving, were concerned.
So now you got a human coming to these Anunnaki and praying to them. Please help us, help us. Oh, please stop it. Just feed us. Do something. Like, it's crazy.
In those days, their own rations were diminished. By Earth's changes, they themselves afflicted became.
This is the Anunnaki were getting sick now.
On Earth, as on Lamu, the seasons their regularity lost.
Yep.
For one shar, for two shars, from Nibiru, the heavenly circuits were studied.
7,200 years.
Oddities in the planetary destinies from Nibiru were observed. On the sun's face, black spots were appearing.
Oh.
From its face, flames shot up.
Sun flares.
Kishar also was misbehaving. Its host, its footings lost. Dizzying were their circuits.
Wow.
The hammered bracelet was by unseen net forces pulled and pushed. For reasons unfathomed, the sun, its family, was upsetting.
Yep.
The destinies of the celestials by unsavory fates were overtaken. On Nibiru, the savants' alarms raised. In the public squares, the people gathered. The creator of all, to primordial days, the heavens is returning.
Yep.
Angry is the creator of all, voices from amongst the people shouted. On earth, the tribulations were increasing. Fear and famine, their heads reared. For 3 shars, for 4 shars, the instruments, the white land facing, were observed. By Nergal and Erishkigal, odd rumblings in the earth, in the white land's snows were recorded. The snow ice that the white land covers to sliding has taken. So did they from Abzu's tip report.
So they're looking at the ice sheets of our frozen, what do they call that? The ice age. This is the ice age. Melting and moving and splitting apart.
In the land beyond the seas, Ninurta in his haven foretelling instruments established.
So beyond the seas, wherever the hell that may be, man, it was North America. I honestly think it was South America. I truly think it was in South America at this point, at that point.
Quakes and jitters at the earth's bottom with the instruments he noticed. An odd matter is afoot, so did Enlil to Anu on Nibiru words of alarm send. For the 5th shar, for the 6th shar, the phenomena gained strength. On Nibiru, the savants an alarm raised of calamities to the king they forewarnings gave. The next time Nibiru the sun shall be nearing, earth to Nibiru's net force exposed shall be.
Oh shit! You guys understand what that says? Are you at the end of your sentence?
Yeah.
Okay. So normally they're on Nibiru, protected on their planet. They're going through the solar system. They never had to ever think about what their planet did to other planets or did to the fucking the bracelet, because we have periods of our time where we got belted with those damn rocks. It was from the Biru, always from the Biru, passing through too close, blasting through it, or them spraying through it to get their ships through. This is just how it was, right? It's this planet that's been doing it, but they never really realized it because they was always on a planet just doing this, wondering how we're gonna grow some weed next year and shit. We are them. Imagine we just live in a pyramid or some shit. We can fly in spaceships and we use crystals for every fucking thing. We are them on their planet. We're not knowing shit until we're on a different planet and we're like, hey, man, this planet was great for like 10 or 400,000 years. So, like, why is it all fucked up? It's real hot, man. Like, where's all the water at? We ain't got no food, right? Now, mind you, before any of this, nobody was eating no fucking people. There was no people eating. But, there was no sheep anymore. And so that was the big atrocity that I meant to say before, but I got thrown off, was we are animals of this planet. So to them, they took an animal out of the fucking forest. They did genetics to it and created it into a thing that could work with hands and just,
understand.
It could go yes and no. I understand, and go to work, and they could listen. So it was against everything to go have sex with that animal. It's an animal. You don't go sex with an animal. So that was the whole, like, oh my God, that's a human. Beast of the field. That's what it means. That's the old definition of human. Beast of the field. That's what they thought of us. So that was what they were like, hey, man, that's fucked up shit. So they're looking at all this fucking shit. Nibiru is coming close, and that's when they notice, like, oh, shit. This time, Nibiru, because, Nibiru is going, every time they say one shar, Nibiru has gone past our sun and gone back around. Gone past sun, gone back around.
That's one shar for them.
Yeah.
But
so
for us,
it's 3,600 years. But what I mean is the Earth has never been anywhere near that passing, ever. Never in all of that time, right? Never. Until they notice some shit happening on the planet. They're like, oh, we got to observe all this shit, see what's happening. And they're like, what is that in the sky? They're like, that's the Nibiru coming right at us. Holy shit. This has never happened before. We're going to be exposed to the net pull of a fucking sun. The net pull is the net pull of a sun. It matches the net pull of our sun. They intermingle with each other when they get too close and change each other's fucking frequencies. This shit is the most amazing ultra haces shit you can ever fucking realize, dude. And once you know this shit and know that these things here didn't know shit was coming. They weren't all knowing. They didn't know the past, present, and future because they were flesh, right? It wasn't.
They were living their days just like we are now.
They were flesh. Not until I believe they learned how to ascend did they become true godly like, where they can just pop in anytime. They can be right here, right now, just chilling, and they could see past, present, and future. They could see her punch me in the face for some weird reason, but that
you got it wrong.
That could be in an altered reality, though. That it never happened here because we love each other. You know what I'm saying? But what else happened, baby?
So the next time Nibiru, the sun shall be nearing, Earth to Nibiru's net force exposed shall be. Lamu in its circuits on the earth, on the sun's other side, shall a station make.
Dude.
Take. Let me read that again. Lamu in its circuits on the sun's other side, shall a station take. From the net force of Nibiru, Earth in the heavens protection shall not have. Kishar and its host agitated shall be. Lahamu shall also shake and wobble. Kishar is Jupiter. In Earth's great below, the snow ice of the white land is its footing is losing. The next time Nibiru, the closest to Earth, shall approach, the snow ice off the whiteland surface shall come a-sliding.
Boom. So there is the end of our ice age right there. They wrote about this as a planet going by. Now, one thing I just want to add before we talk about this, we hear about it. I've seen tons of videos. It's not a flare. It could be Photoshop. I always say everything, if you don't see it with your real eyes, it's movie magic. I have never seen two suns in the sky. I've seen videos of people that swear to God there's two suns. They're looking at two suns in those skies, right? Two actual balls. I say that's Nibiru. I've been saying for years that this was the time reported. I was like, actually, it's a little late. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it got bumped off course out there or something. Maybe they slowed down because they fixed their shit so good. They had so much gold on the damn solar, up in the atmosphere. They slowed down a bit. You never know. One shar might be longer now, or maybe our fucking cheapo math is wrong. Who knows? But I always have prophesized that this was the time Nibiru was going to come by. And looking it up, it turns out that it is. The age of Aquarius was when they were supposed to come back through. Just their planet, not them coming and visiting. They're here. They've been here the whole time. If they were to come back here and start true mission Earth, we would all be fucking slaves. All of us would be slaves.
To your life.
Say goodbye to your life. What if somewhere on this planet, though, mission Earth is still going? Underground, you don't know what shit is underground. If you ain't been in the military, you don't know none of these underground bases. All your conspiracy shits, they show you this little scratch of the surface, bro. You should know some shit if you're deep in, you know what I'm talking about, right? So, like, there could be a whole civilization of damn slaves underground mining gold. Literally, to this day, mining minerals and taking it to Nibiru. We have no idea, because guess what? These damn people had no idea there was a primitive worker race on the planet. I mean, what the fuck? It could be way deeper than all of us even know, and that's where the control could be coming from, and a lot of us are waking up. Whether a lot of us believe that we were star-seeded, I don't believe that, but or other souls from fallen Anunnaki or other beings that were here on this planet that have reincarnated or such into other beings like us as a human, because like people just have fucking knowledge for some weird reason,
or memories that aren't theirs,
memories of past lives. Literally,
there are things they're unexplainable, and,
it is,
and you can't fault them or discredit them because of that. Like you just can't.
It's weird.
There's too much. Okay. A watery calamity it shall cause. By a huge wave, a deluge, the earth will be overwhelmed. On Nibiru, great was the consternation, uncertain about Nibiru's own fate. Kings, savants, and counselors about Earth and Lamu also greatly worried. The king and the counselors a decision made for evacuating Earth and Lamu to prepare. In the Abzu, the gold mines shut down. Therefrom, the Anunnaki to the Eden came. In Bad Tibera, smelting and refining ceased. All gold to Nibiru was lofted. Empty for evacuating ready, a fleet of fast celestial chariots to Earth returned.
Boom.
On Nibiru, the heavenly signs were watched. On Earth, the tremors recorded were. It was at that time that from one of the celestial chariots, a white-haired Anunnaki stepped off. Galzu, Great Knower, was his name.
Wow.
With steps majestic to Enlil his way he made. To him a sealed message from Anu he presented.
If he came from Nibiru and he's a white-bearded dude, he's old as fuck. I'm talking about, like, he might as well be God. He might as well be God.
I am Galzu, emissary, plenipotentiary of king and council. To Enlil he said. By his coming, Enlil was surprised. No word from Anu of that did forcome. Enlil the seal of Anu examined. Unbroken and authentic it was. In Nibruki, the message tablet was read. Its encoding was trustworthy. For king and council, Galzu speaks. His words are my command. So did the message from Anu state. What that Enki and Ninmah be also summoned was Galzu's request. When they came, to Ninmah Galzu pleasantly smiled. Of the same school and age we are, to her he said. This Ninmah could not recall. The emissary was as young as a son. She was as his olden mother. Simple is the explanation, Galzu to her said. By our winters slumbered life cycles it is caused. Indeed, this matter is of my mission apart. About the evacuation, it is a secret.
So basically, Galzu, even though he's the all-knower and he's old as fuck, it says he's like a gray beard, white bearded dude. But supposedly he went to school with Nimba over there. And Nimba can't recall that, but he's saying, I went to school with you. So that's interesting as shit. Like I said, like, is this God that stepped in? Or is this just some dude that says, hey, man, I want you guys to keep doing this little science experiment, man. It's pretty cool. Like, keep that shit going. You know what I mean? It just steps in like an Elon Musk, you know?
It does say white-haired. It doesn't say a beard, though.
White-haired.
So
okay, so white-haired.
White
He
hair.
could have just white hair. Maybe just play with radiation too much. You know, like here's the thing, though. Like, the Anunnaki are saying that Mars, Lahamu, was uninhabitable. They're like, dude, that shit's terrible. Like, why does Elon Musk think that he can go there and fucking inhabit it? Like, I don't understand it. If they're saying that, dude, this place is not, we can't live here no more. They are a highly advanced race of fucking people. Like, they couldn't live there. How do we think we can go there and live? How, if they couldn't create atmosphere, how the fuck do we think we can? You know, that's just a weird situation. I think Mars is going to be a rock. It's going to be a rock that they're going to be wishing upon, you know. And then we got planet Earth over here about to go through a damn flood. This shit's wild.
Ever since Dumuzi on Nibiru had stayed, returning Anunnaki on Nibiru examined were. Those who on Earth the longest stayed, by the returning harshly were afflicted. Their bodies to Nibiru's cycles were accustomed no longer. Their sleep was disturbed, their eyesight was failing. The net force of Nibiru weighted their walk.
So that's when they went back. When the first people
when
there,
they've been here for a long time.
They had to do experiments to figure out how long someone could stay here, you know, and they had to push to the limit. So some of the people that got pushed too far limit, they got fucked up when they got back to Nibiru. They were hurting. Some of them probably died.
The longer they were here, the worse they were there. Their minds were also affected.
Yep.
As sons were older than the parents they had left.
That's insane.
Death, my comrades, to the returnees quickly came. Of that I am here a warning to give. The three leaders, on earth the longest, by the words silent became.
They were like, oh, fuck. They cannot go home.
Ninmah was the first to speak. That much was to be expected, she was saying. Enki, the wise one, to her words consented. That much was clear, he said. Enlil was with anger was seized. Before the earthlings like us were becoming. Now we as earthlings have become to this planet imprisoned. This whole mission to a nightmare turned.
Yep.
By Enki and his earthlings from masters. Slaves we were made.
Yep. Anu sends them all to death.
To the outburst, Galzu with compassion listened. Indeed, much there is to ponder, he said. On Nibiru, much thinking and soul-searching, deep questions were raising. Should Nibiru to its fate been left, whatever by the Creator of all intended, to be let to happen? Let me reread that. Should Nibiru to its fate been left, whatever by the Creator of all intended, to be let to happen? Or was the coming to earth by the Creator of all conceived, and we only unwittingly emissaries? Of that, my comrades, the debate will continue. So was Galzu to them saying. Now this is the secret command from Nibiru. The three of you on earth will remain, only to die to Nibiru you will return. In celestial chariots, the earth encircling, the calamity you shall outwait. To each of the other Anunnaki, A choice to leave or the calamity outwait must be given. The Igigi, who earthlings espoused, must between departure and spouses choose. No earthling, Marduk's Sarpanet included, to Nibiru to journey is allowed. For all who stay and what happens see, in celestial chariots they safety must seek. As for all the others, to depart from Nibiru forthwith they ready must be. So did Galzu Nibiru's commands to the leaders in secret reveal.
So there's this dude that comes to Earth. They didn't get any word from Anu that he sent an emissary to spit words to him. Because, you know, Anu usually just talked himself. That was his kids he was talking to. So he'd be like, yo, how's it all going? Oh, cool. Hey, you know, well, if we come close enough this year, maybe we'll come over. You know, that's what it was. Literally, they didn't come to Earth all the time. Not the command, not the people on Nibiru. They had to wait till they came close enough to Earth, and then they'd be like, all right, cool, we're close enough. We'll jump over there real quick. Anu came to Earth a couple times. A few times he spent thousands of fucking years here by our count. But for him, it was only a couple shars. Few shars he stayed. And then we got this dude comes here, Galzu, white-haired Galzu. Like, is he God? Is he the creator of all? Is he a plant? But why does he say he was in school with Nimma? Like, it's weird. In school, you know, dig deep in that. You know, in school, you know, she did a certain kind of a teaching thing. She did a certain thing. Maybe that in school means he knows exactly what she knows. Maybe of how to bring life. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I was digging deep into that thought one day. But so he lays out the whole path of what's going to happen. He's like, listen, you can't go back to Nibiru. You guys are going to die if you do. So you three, Enlil, Nimma, and Lord Enki have to stay here. Now, listen, they brought their kids with them too, like Marduk and shit. They were all here the whole time, never left. They all got to stay here and die here, okay? Now, though, that's their sentence. And then he says, go out and find all the other fallen angels, the Igigi, the workers on Mars and shit, the fucking belter loaders, right? They're going to kill you if you don't fucking let them bang their women. And find them, tell them they can't return them to Nibiru either, but they can if they want to. But the wives, they got a choice. Either they can stay or they can come in the rocket ships, but the wives can't come back to Nibiru, okay? And then they say all the rest is for everyone else, but if the Earthlings want to live, they have to come on the spaceships and float around the Earth. But none of the Earthlings can come to Nibiru. None of them are allowed at Nibiru. And none of the Igigi, none of the Anunnaki are allowed to bring their human lives there. You know what I'm saying? Either. So he lays out this plan for the flood. And from that, they make other decisions on the fate of humanity. And it's amazing. Don't forget, there's still this white guy. There's still a white dude walking around, a whole bunch of dark people. And he's about to rally up all these dark people and say, hey, listen, man, we're going to die. We're going to die. Let's build a boat. But does he build a boat? Let's find out in this little last clip here.
Now, this is the account of how the Anunnaki to abandon Earth decided. And
Sons of bitches.
And how an oath they took mankind to let in the deluge perish.
Now, you heard that, right? So whatever your Bible, it tells you about this deluge, right? They took an oath, right? They took an oath that says, we swear that we're going to let these people die and we won't tell nobody about it. Like, they were taking an oath on to do this to people. Like, it's sickening. But remember, Enlil hated this creation. He was against it from the beginning. And when his fellow Anunnaki came down and took wives, oh, he's like, oh, God, no, I can't believe it. They're so loud, I can't sleep. They're banging all the time. Remember Sodom and Gomorrah? Remember, they destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah with brimstone and fire in those days.
In Nibruki, Enlil, a council of Anunnaki and Igigi commanders summoned. The leader's sons and their children were also present. Word of the impending calamity Enlil to them as a secret revealed. To a bitter end, Earth mission has come. To them, he solely said. All who to leave wish in celestial boats that are ready to Nibiru will be evacuated.
So 1 second though, I forgot these two parts. You hear here that when they knew this deluge was coming, this flood was about to happen, they called up Nibiru and said, yo, send us all your fastest ships. So they flew here real quick. They stripped every place of all their mining equipment, all their technology that was doing the work, and all of their gold. They loaded up on these ships. People say, where's their technology? Where's their technology? It said in this small little fucking pubic hair spot that they called up these ships and they stripped everything off of our planet, loaded them on the ships, and flew them away, right? And then what was that last part you just read? I lost myself in that little bit.
Words of the impending calamity Enlil to them as a secret revealed. To a bitter end, Earth mission has come. To them, he solemnly said.
No, it was right before that. Oh, Mission Earth. Okay, so they stripped all of their technology and all of their gold that they mined, all their metals, whatever the fuck they wanted from our planet. They took everything, put them on these ships, and left. And they said, "Hey, Mission Earth has come to an end." So the reason they came here to mine this gold and shit is now over because there's a damn flood coming. Check this shit out. Mind you, keep those two things in mind, dude.
All who to leave wish in celestial boats that are ready to Nibiru will be evacuated. But if earthling spouses they have, without the spouses they must leave. Igigi, who was to their spouses and offspring attached, are, let them to the highest peaks on earth escape.
So there you go. They said, yo, you can take your wives. You can't take your wives to Nibiru, but if you want to keep your wife, they didn't even let them go on the spaceship. See what I'm saying? Galzu, the master Galzu, told them to put them on the spaceship. They said, no, we're not putting these fucking humans on the spaceship.
And
if you want to live, if you want to live, you climb to the highest mountains and hope your ass can hang on. King of the hill, baby. How you think we got that king in the mountain shit? That's some bullshit. Them and their kids, whether they were giants or not. Well, some of these people are mountains right now. So, you know.
As for a few of us Anunnaki who will choose to stay, in boats of heaven and earth skies will we remain.
So they didn't even go in space. They stayed up in the clouds. When you look up in the clouds, they was up there, right there watching.
To the calamity, the calamity to outwait, the fate of earth to witness.
Wow.
As the commander, I shall be the first one to stay. So was Enlil saying. By their own choice will be the others.
This is incredible. Imagine watching that. The end of the world.
With my father, I choose to stay, the calamity to face, so did Ninurta announce. To the lands beyond the oceans, after the deluge, I will return. Nanar, Enlil's on earth firstborn, an odd wish announced. The deluge to outwait not in earth's skies, but on the moon. That was his wish. Enki an eyebrow raised. Enlil, though puzzled, approved. Ishkur, Enlil's youngest, to remain on earth with his father, his decision made.
Which one went to the moon?
Nanar.
Nanar went to the moon. His youngest.
Enlil's on earth firstborn.
Yeah, Enlil's on
Earth's oldest.
So his first begotten son born on earth, not his earthling child, his Anunnaki child born on earth.
Yeah.
Went to the moon. Dark side, baby.
Ishkur, Enlil's youngest, to remain on earth with his father, his decision made. Utu and Inanna, Nanar's children, who on earth were born, to stay declared. Enki and Ninki, to stay and earth not abandon chose. Proudly they so announced. The Igigi and Sarpanit I shall not desert, Marduk with anger stated. One by one, Enki's other sons, their choice to stay announced. Nergal and Gibal, Ninagal and Ningazita, and Dumuzi too.
Dumuzi.
All eyes to Ninmah then turned. With pride her choice to stay, she declared, "My life work is here. The earthlings, my created, I shall not abandon." By her words, Anunnaki and Igigi to a clamor were stirred. About the earthlings' fate they inquired. "Let the earthlings for the abominations perish," so did Enlil proclaim. "A wondrous being by us was created, by us saved it must be," Enki to Enlil shouted. To this Enlil with his own shouted words retorted. "From the very beginning, at every turn, the decisions by you modified were. To primitive workers procreating you gave, to them knowing you endowed. The powers of the creator of all into your hands you have taken. Therefore, even that by abominations you fouled. With fornication, Adapa you conceived. Understanding to his line you gave. His offspring to the heavens you have taken.
Jealousy.
Our wisdom with
Rage.
them you shared. Every rule you have broken, decisions and command you ignored. Because of you, by a civilized earthling brother, a brother murdered. Because of Marduk, your son, the Igigi, like him, with earthlings intermarried.
They're hot.
Who is lordly from Nibiru, to whom the earth alone belongs? To no one is no longer known. Enough, enough to all that I say. The abominations cannot continue.
This is Enlil. This is how Enlil became the god in the Bible. It's everything that he actually did in this end part is they stamped as God. It's insane.
Now that a calamity by a destiny unknown has been ordained, let what must happen, happen. So did Enlil angrily proclaim. That all leaders solemnly swear to let events unhindered occur of all Enlil demanded. First to take the oath of silence was Ninurta. Others of Enlil's side followed. Nergal of Enki's sons was first to take the oath. Others of Enki's sons followed. To your command I bow, Marduk to Enlil said. But of what worth is the swearing? If Igigi their spouses will abandon, would not the fear among the earthlings spread? Ninmah was in tears. The words of the oath she faintly whispered. Enlil at his brother Enki gazed. It is the wish of king and council, to him he said. Why will you bind me with an oath? Enki his brother Enlil asked. The decision by you was made. On earth it is a commandment. The floodwaters I cannot arrest. The earthling multitudes I cannot save. To what oath to bind me you therefore desire? So did Enki his brother ask. To let it all happen as if by fate decreed? Let it as Enlil's decision be known? On Enlil alone, let the responsibility forever rest. So did Enki to all pronounce. Then Enki from the assembly departed. Marduk with him also left. With quick words of command, Enlil the assembly to order brought. Tasks for what was to be done, with firm decisions assigned. Between those who will depart and those who will stay, the grouping arranged. Places for assembly to designate, equipment to collect, chariots to assign. First to depart were those who to Nibiru were returning. With much embracing and the locking of arms, in joy mixed with sorrow, the celestial boats they boarded. One after the other, the vehicles from Sipar roared aloft. At first, those left behind journey safely. Shouted. At first, those left behind journey safely, shouted. Then muted were the cries. After the launchings toward Nibiru completed were, the turn of Marduk and the Igigi with earthling spouses came. Marduk them all on the landing place assembled, a choice to them he gave. With him and Sarapanet and 2 sons and the daughters of Lamu go, where the calamity outwait, or to the distant mountain lands on earth disperse, a haven from the deluge to find. Enlil then of those who remained took account. By groupings to them chariots he assigned. Ninurta to the mountain lands beyond the oceans, Enlil directed on earth's rumblings to report. To Nergal and Erishkigal, the task, the white land to watch, Enlil assigned. To guard against an onrush of earthlings, To Ishkur the task Enlil gave, to bar access, barrier, and bolt to erect and bolster. Of all preparations, Sipar, the place of the celestial chariots, was the center. To Sipar Enlil the tablets of destinies from Nabruki moved. A temporary bond heaven-earth there was established. His brother Enki Enlil then addressed. To him he was thus saying, however, if ever the calamity might be survived, let all that had happened be remembered. Let us tablets of records in Sipar, in the depths of the earth, safely bury. Let what from one planet to another done in days to come uncovered be. Enki his brother's words with approving accepted. Mees and other tablets in golden chests they stored. In the depths of the earth, in Sipar, for posterity they buried. Thus ready for the signal to depart, the leaders awaited. The approach of Nibiru in its great circuit with apprehension they watched. It was at that time of anxious waiting that Enki his sister Ninmah addressed. To her was Enki thus saying, in his preoccupation with the earthlings, of all other living creatures, Enlil lost attention. When the avalanche of waters sweeps over the lands, other living creatures, some by us from Nibiru originated, most from earth itself evolved, in one sudden swoop to an extinction shall be doomed. Let us, you and me, their seed of life preserve. Let their life essences for safekeeping extract.
So you hear that right there real quick, that from the 400,000 years or whatever that they were on this planet, they watched things evolve. Things evolve from one thing to the next to get to be the creatures that they collected these essences from. And these creatures were today. Some of these creatures, I think, were these old creatures that survived this calamity. Because you hear, they tell them plenty of time. There's plenty of time for it. It's 3,600 years it takes for Nibiru to come around and go back around, right? It's not like this shit's coming and it's 12 hours. They give them plenty of time to go collect planetary equipment everywhere, all their equipment. They go pick it all up. They take all the gold. They assign everybody ships. They tell them, hey, man, you guys can either do this or do that. Some went underground, I think. And maybe not in that time. Maybe it's later. Maybe it was before. But they tell them they can go way up in the mountains. You might be thinking, okay, cool. I make it sound like, oh, they just ran up there real quick when the water was coming. That's weird. We go way up in the mountains and we find fucking castles. Huge civilizations in South America and shit. And no one can understand why the fuck they built up there. They told them to. They said, go to the top of the mountains and you might survive this shit. Go to the far stretches of the earth, climb that bitch and hold on. But literally, they built houses and stuff, you know, because they were waiting. They went up there and did that, and they were like, well, hell, I guess we could build a house. Well, fuck this thing. When's it coming? Damn, another 300-400 years? Shit. You know, for them, they were living that long. So it was, you know, but it wasn't right away. It wasn't just, boom. Oh, fuck,
they were preparing. They knew it was coming. All of their research that they were studying, like things were gradually happening, and they knew what was coming. So they prepared everything for it in a timely manner. Yep.
The big wave only happened, I believe, in certain areas because it smashed up against mountains and valleys and filled up areas where we now see oceans and lakes and shit like that, and lost its force because we have an account of a war that was going on while the flood waters were rising, not while the Geauga Lake wave washed everybody off the planet. While the flood waters were rising, these dudes were cutting off each other's schlongs and shit, man. It was wild. What's happening next, baby?
Ninmah, she who gave life, to the words of Enki favor gave. I shall do it in Shurubak. You do so with the Abzu's living creatures. So to Enki she said. While the others sat idly waiting, Enki and Ninmah a challenging task undertook. Ninmah in Shurubak, by some of her female assistants, was helped. Enki by Ningazita in the Abzu, at the olden House of Life, was assisted. Male and female essences and life eggs they collected. Of each kind, 2 by 2, 2 by 2, they in Shurubak and the Abzu preserved, for safekeeping while in earth circuit to be taken, thereafter the living kinds to recombine. At that time, word from Ninurta came, earth's rumblings ominous are. At that time, word from Nergal and Erishkigal came, the white land is shaken. In Sipar, all the Anunnaki gathered, the day of the deluge they awaited.
Yeah. Doom, doom, doom.
And that is the end of the 9th tablet.
Yeah, that is the end. So in Sipar, there's all the tablets, the me formulas, they're there.
Deep down in the earth in a gold case.
People know about the shit. They dug it up. They got the shit. These are lies that they're holding back from you. The shit was really there. They dug the shit up. It's insane. You know, you see that Indiana Jones and Lost Temple, da 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 da. That was all true. We had all these people that will go, they learned this shit. They learned these secrets. They heard these stories. They went, they saw, they dug it up, and they sold it on the black market for millions. You know what I'm saying? Now it's some jackasses on the shelf back here. We think it's some cool fucking thing, but really it's a lost goddamn civilization of some fucking thing.
Probably. Most likely. So next
What's
week,
going on for next week, baby?
the 10th tablet.
Please, Brad, what up?
Be sure to tune in for this amazing saga. The mystery emissary appears to Enki in a dream vision.
Ooh.
Enki is told to save mankind through his son Zusudra. By subterfuge, Enki directs Zusudra to build a submarine. A navigator comes aboard, bringing Earth's seeds of life. Nibiru's approach causes the White Land's ice sheet to slip. The resulting tidal wave engulfs the Earth with water. The remaining Anunnaki bewail the calamity from Earth orbit.
That means they cry. They were very upset watching all the Earth people get annihilated and the animals.
The waters recede. Zusudra's boat rests on Mount Salvation.
Mount Salvation.
Descending in a whirlwind, Enlil discovers Enki's duplicity. Enki convinces Enlil it was destined by the creator of all. They use the surviving landing platform as a temporary base. In a creation chamber there, crops and cattle are fashioned. Abundant gold is discovered in the lands beyond the seas.
So there's where, real quick, you hear it, lands beyond the seas. That's just what I'm saying. So when they say the lands beyond the seas, all those different times, like, were they always talking about this place here? Because this is South America, North America. Like, or were they talking about another island? And that's where I really want to get a big fucking map up on the wall or a globe or something where I could spin it and show you guys. I could do it on the Earth, Google stuff. Yeah, go ahead.
New space facilities are established in the olden lands. They include 2 artificial mounds and a lion-shaped carving.
Oh, that's insane, isn't it?
Ninma offers a peace plan to resolve erupting rivalries.
So
that is next week.
Next week, there's 2 mounds erected with a lion carved fucking mound in front of it. That is fucking pretty wild, guys. That is pretty wild. And they build space. They call it 2 new space ports, right?
On the one surviving platform, too, the landing, that's mentioned, the one landing platform that survived the deluge. So this is one that was still there.
Yeah. Everything else was covered in mud or water. That's what it was. It wasn't that they were destroyed completely, but there was only, as the waters were receding, there was only one. They flew around the whole planet, and there was only one that they saw was, okay, cool, we can land there. So that's where we're all landing. And that's, if you don't know, that's Egypt. That's Cain. That's the land of Cain. Kemet. Is that the land of Kemet?
Could be.
Isn't that the land of Kemet? I think it's Egypt is what it is.
In case anybody's wondering what book we're reading out of, it is The Lost Book of Enki by Zecharia Sitchen.
Yep.
Good book.
That's a fascinating story of space and Han Solo and the Belter Loaders and Mars. I mean, Mars is about to throw some damn meteors at us and shit. You know, like Sodom and Gomorrah and shit like that. They got destroyed. That's imagine though. See, in the Bible, they talk about God was so displeased by the perversion of Sodom and Gomorrah and the noise of it that he threw brimstone and fire down and destroyed it. Well, that was also true in this story. We won't hear about it. I don't think in this one we hear about it in a different tale, because what it is the giants lived there, the fallen angels, you know, the Agigi and their children. And these things became so lustful that like every hole on every person was fair game. And they had a big rock in the middle of the town in Sodom and Gomorrah. And anyone traveling through there got strapped to this rock and got done up real good, you know, by everyone in town. Every single person in town took their turns on the people, women, children, whole families got tied to the rock. And that was the story of Lot and his wife. You'll find the story in the story of Lot. And when he got to leave, you know, God told him, hey, Enki again, says, yo, get out, man. But look, don't turn around, because you're also turned to a pillar of salt. Not true. You turn into minerals, because whatever the hell they threw from space, the Belter Loaders launched this rocket that was covered in, you know, you can't see it on radar shit. So they threw it at the earth. And when it hit this specific spot, it turned everything to crystal, you know, to a mineral. It's insane, you know. So that's what you got to look deeper into. Is it salt? Did anyone go there and lick it? No. What they mean is mineral. I don't know if they talk about crystals or anything like that in the Bible, but you know, I think they would just say salt because of the mineral structure of it, the crystal structure. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty wild. But I think that's it for the Wee Church.
That is it for the Wee Church today at Ganja Gospel.
For the Ganja Gospel.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us on TwizTD RootZ, The Dorkening, Still Toking with Hellfire Radio, and all of the above. I think there's a few others in there that I missed. All the links are below in the description. We love you guys. Thank you for filling the pews and smoking us out today and listening with your open mind.
And join us next week on the Ganja Gospel.
On Ganja Gospel. As we go into the 10th tablet.
It books a lot with Amber. This was a really good tablet, though. I liked it. And the 10th tablet is going to get into, you know, your book of Noah, and soon to come the Tower of Babel. And sooner down the line, we're going to find out where Jesus comes into play, who Jesus really was, the man who died and became the Holy Spirit, or was it a female? I don't know, but join us next time on Ganja Gospel, everybody.
Peace out. Much love.
Stay frostier than the last guy.
Hell yeah. Bye, everybody.
Bye again.